In this game, winners win, and I only back winners. Trainer Kenny McPeak is a proven winner, and his horses are in my portfolio. And now they can be in yours too. McPeak's champion horses and Derby hopefuls are now featured on Morning Line. With Morning Line, I don't just watch the race. I own the moment. I invest in champions. This is my edge. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morning Line. Own the game.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Horse Races Now podcast. My name is T. Rich, and today I am joined by Anthony Koch of Hallway Feeds. Anthony, what is up, my man?
Yeah, good afternoon. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me and making the time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, all right, for our listeners who may not know you yet, talk to us how you got started kind of in the horse racing industry, and what led you to Hallway Feeds.
I don't think there was any choice for me.
Okay.
So I grew up on Claiborne Farm. My father was the farm manager there for 32 years.
Wow, and, your roots run deep.
It's in the blood,
okay.
Right? So 1 of 10 kids, 5 boys, 5 girls. All 5 boys are involved in the industry in some form or fashion. And it is one of those things. You don't even have to be born into it. But once you get a taste of it, it seems like you're in and you're in forever.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it is. And people that say that usually say it with a smile on their face. I'm one of those that definitely has a smile on my face, happy to be a part of it. But yeah, I grew up on Claiborne.
Okay.
Went to the University of Kentucky, was fortunate enough to be found by my employer. So I didn't go seeking them out. I've never had a real job interview. I've never actually put together a resume except for English writing in college.
Right.
And they found me when I was speaking at an event, and we did a little internship. Turns out we didn't hate each other. 23 years later, still here, still a part of the Hallway Feeds team, and very proud to be part of the Hallway Feeds team.
Fantastic. So I didn't know this about the Claiborne Farm. Talk to us a little bit about that. I mean, man, the history there is insane, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think it's, you got Calumet that has a very historical racing operation,
sure.
I think primarily, but is there a farm in the world that has a more historical breeding operation? I don't think so. It's pretty amazing. It's very cool to have grown up as part of that. I didn't know it at the time. Nobody knows you're growing up in something special. I was on a horse farm, knew I was part of that. Great. Really in college was where I got the first taste of maybe this was special. I started taking buddies out to Keeneland to watch the races and started pointing out connections and how it all tied together. And they just couldn't believe that somebody would know the horses or know the sires, know the dams, know the families, or even say something like, oh, fold that one, or,
sure.
Prepped that one, anything of that nature. They didn't understand how that was possible to have those connections. And it was finally college where I was like, oh, maybe this is kind of special. Name drop,
Anthony. Just give us some of the names that you grew up around.
Well, look, here is my all-time favorite, I suppose.
Okay.
Give a little shout out to FFA in high schools and youth programs. You have to have a SAE project, they call it, Supervised Ag Experience.
Yep.
I had nurse mares, and I had a nurse mare named Dolly, who actually raised Pulpit. And so that's pretty darn special, it being
awesome.
16 years old, and it turns out that your nurse mare, your FFA project, raised the favorite for the Derby.
That's cool.
It doesn't get much cooler than that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Now, did you do the ag college at UK?
I did, yes. College of Agriculture. So I had 2 brothers that went through the College of Ag ahead of me, and then, 3 siblings after me that went through the College of Agriculture. 9 of the 10 of us graduated from the University of Kentucky. So you got the big W.T. Young library over there, and I always laugh and say, no, W.T. Young didn't pay for that. The Koch family did.
That's funny. That's awesome, man. All right, so we're here to talk about Hallway. So for our listeners, what exactly is Hallway Feeds, and what role do you play in the operation?
Yeah, good question. Hallway Feeds is a family-owned feed manufacturer, and we only make horse feed. That's it. We have one focus. We're not carrying hay. We're not carrying feed. We're not making feed for any other species. It is one singular focus, and that is on the horse.
Okay.
We really stamped our place in the thoroughbred industry many years ago. Mr. Bob Hall and Miss Bonnie Hall bought what was called Farmer's Feed Mill at that time in 1964, when it was multi-species.
Okay.
Built the location that we're in now in 1985, and that's when it started trickling over to equine only. By early 2000s, nothing but horses supporting the central Kentucky industry. And that's when it really started to springboard outside of central Kentucky. I mean, when you're in Lexington, you got enough to do right here. There's something like 580 horse farms, really based in 3 counties, Bourbon, Fayette, Woodford County, little Scott, little Madison. But you get most of it just so compact right there. So you need to plant a flag in the thoroughbred industry if this is where you're going to be located.
Sure.
That's what they did primarily. Boom, this is where we began. From there, it spread out somewhat naturally to the racetrack. It followed the feed, followed some horses. It helped recoup, lay up some horses, followed it back to the racetrack for some trouble horses. Funny enough, it wasn't on the racetrack here in Lexington first. It was on the racetrack out in California first.
Wow, okay.
Southern California, yeah. And that's what got the feed going at the racetrack. I look back, 23 years ago, I had a dealer list I'd carry around in my pocket when I made racetrack visits. It had a half dozen, 8 dealers on it. Now you go to the website. I don't even know how many dealers we have listed on the website.
Yeah, it's a bunch.
It's a huge number. It's 31 states, 15 countries. It's incredible. The springboard was definitely the thoroughbred industry. Now we push outside of that. Definitely involved in all English disciplines, all Western disciplines, salespeople, Texas, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, the Mid-Atlantic, and beyond. And so it's fun to see the success that we've known and loved and appreciated so much in the thoroughbred industry via that springboard and a reason for people to trust you in other disciplines as well. So it's really neat to be a part of that, to watch it grow. And I'm just excited knowing where we can go and what we can do from here and the opportunities for us. My role started, again, as I said, I was an intern.
Okay.
My last semester of college, I did an internship and then went full-time immediately after graduation, and started out doing all the jobs.
Yep.
It was cleaning up messes, sweeping the basement floors, loading trucks, all the things nobody else wanted to do. That's
Sure.
what the new guy gets to do.
Yeah, that's what the intern always has to do, right?
Yeah, low man, new man, you got to do it all. But that was a great experience for me because there's not a job here that I haven't done.
Sure.
The farms, I've delivered to them. I've been on the trucks. I know what it's like on the cold days, the hot days, the rainy days, the icy days. I've done those jobs. I appreciate those guys and our ladies in the office and the customers that I deal with. I've done all the jobs, so I love that. And fast forward to today, in between there, it was a lot of fun being on our technical services team where we went out and weighed and measured horses every day. I did that with Steve Cadell for a number of years.
Awesome.
And then transitioned into the sales and marketing side of things where I am today, 23 years in. So leading up our thoroughbred team, and then also anything website related, advertising, social media.
Okay.
The team does all that as well.
Right on. All right. So we're going through a little bit of transition here. Obviously, Torpedo Anna, was one of Kenny's best horses ever, and now she's transitioning kind of into her second career of being a broodmare. So what I'd like to kind of ask you here is, when you look at the nutrition of the feed, are there differences between horses that are racing as opposed to yearlings, maybe the broodmares, or performance? Are they all the same?
So just like you and me, just like all people, there are some things that are exactly the same.
Okay.
The basic nutrient needs, the nutrients, protein, vitamins, minerals, we all have those needs. They have to be present for all of us. There's going to be different levels of those depending on what we're doing.
Got it.
But what we can do is start with a base premix and we go, this is it. We start with this for every single ration, every single horse. Then we build off of that with calorie sources, depending on what they're doing, because Torpedo Anna as a racehorse has different caloric needs than Torpedo Anna as a barren mare, maiden mare, barren mare.
Got it.
Then pregnant, then lactating.
Those
are all different caloric needs, but there are different vitamin mineral needs as well. So a racehorse, if listeners, if everybody's old enough to remember Michael Phelps in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
They made a really big deal about his diet.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you remember.
Absolutely.
You and I probably need to consume 2,500 calories per day.
Okay.
That's pretty standard for an adult human. Michael Phelps was 15,000 calories a day. I mean, just
because of what he was burning in the pool, right?
Oh, I mean, that guy, and this massive frame. He was,
sure.
I don't know what 6'6",
yeah,
7, whatever he was, the swimmer body, right? Just unbelievable the calories he was burning and having to replace. The pictures of him sitting at the tables with all, it looked like a Thanksgiving feast.
Yeah.
And that was lunchtime for Michael Phelps.
Right, yep.
That's what we're trying to do with racehorses, except it's more than double what Michael Phelps was eating.
Oh,
racehorses you're talking 35,000 calories per day.
Okay.
And that's pretty standard. Then you might have a hard keeping thoroughbred that needs even more than that. So when we're talking about feeding a thoroughbred racehorse, getting the actual nutrients, the vitamins and minerals in them is pretty easy because we can balance the feeds to do that at 6 or 8 pounds per day. But then they have to eat the other 8 pounds because it's all calories. That's what they really need to get into them. Yeah, so you got to load those calories up. Something I like to talk to trainers about is it's really easy to feed a horse for one race. You can get a horse ready for one race. If you have one race in mind, you can get that horse fit, ready to run in one race.
Okay.
But nobody wants to run in one race.
Right.
It's a campaign.
Absolutely.
It's a season.
Sure.
It's a year at least.
It's a career.
If not extending. We want a whole career.
Sure.
That's when it gets more difficult, and that's where proper nutrition really comes into play with racehorses, but use that as an analogy for their life as well. Getting them in foal and then having a healthy foal and then having proper quality milk and a stallion, if it's a stallion instead of a brood mare, having them being able to reproduce and not just one time, but maybe 2 times a day. Maybe it's 3 times a day from February to July. So when you start to think about it like that, getting them ready for one event isn't so difficult. Getting them ready for a campaign or a career is a bigger project.
All right. Very interesting. Now Kenny claims he's had some say on the formula of this feed. Do you know if there's any truth to that?
Look, I'm on Kenny's podcast, so Kenny can claim whatever Kenny wants to claim when it's his podcast.
Okay,
right?
Fair enough. He says that he's been able to give some input over the years.
Well, listen, I want to hear from all of our trainers, all of our customers. I'm doing a whole lot of farm visits right now, and hey, how's the year been? How have we done? Customer service, feed-wise, delivery, all those things. Yes, Kenny was a very early adopter.
Yep.
He does have a story he remembers vividly being at Gulfstream Park. I actually think I have some pictures of that. That was before my time here.
Okay.
But I think I have some pictures back when he and Lee Hall were visiting at Gulfstream Park back in the mid-1990s, it probably was. And Kenny he did provide suggestions. Hey, I'd love to see, this be a part of a feed. So yes, Kenny
Good.
is always willing to share input.
Yes, he is.
With his teams. And so we were part of that team. He shared input. Yes, we have race 13 today.
All right. So race day versus training day. So what you're telling me is these are different feeds.
No. Once you're in race training, I tell everybody all the time, teenagers don't know it, but horses and teenagers are alike. They do prefer consistency.
Okay.
So we don't want to change things up a lot. Horses have sensitive stomachs. Think about it. If you got a dog or a puppy or something, you switch the feed like that, oh my gosh, are you going to have digestive upset if they'll eat it? So don't ever make drastic changes to a horse's feed. And this is kind of like ever. You need to do feed changes slowly.
Okay.
But So say we're using race 13, a race feed on our horses in training. That feed needs to stay the same 7 days a week, whether we're coming or going from a race. And once we find the appropriate volume per day, I hope trainers are feeding at least 3 times per day. It'd be nice. Some only feed twice a day. I'd love to see it 3.
Okay.
You have hard keepers, fine, do 4 or more per day. Lots of small meals. Think about horses out in nature. They walk, they nibble, they walk, they drink, they walk, they take a nap. They're grazers. Lots of small meals is most natural for their digestive tract. And that's why we leave hay out constantly for a horse.
Okay.
Forage is the most important part of a horse's diet. You can't make up for bad forage, so bad hay, bad pasture, with good feed. You have to start with good forage, then use good feed to balance what they need. So start with forage. Make sure you get the forage right, which for most horses in race training is going to be a grass hay for the majority of their hay, so like a Timothy hay, and then probably a really good flake or 2 of alfalfa put down in the middle of the hay net or the hay feeder for them to eat as well. Get the hay right. So they're probably consuming, they should be consuming about 2% of their body weight per day in forage, in hay. For horses in race training, they're not getting out and grazing, so in hay. Then we're going to use the feed to provide all the calories we got to get, because yes, you could train just on hay. They're just not going to be real fast. So we supplement the feed. Say it's race 13. It's going to have, the corn, the oats, the beet pulp, the oil that's in it, the protein, vitamin, mineral pellets. So that balances the nutrition, gives all the calories, gets the horse looking good, feeling good, running good. So that's all very important. What you alluded to there was the discussion of, should we change things coming into race preparation?
Correct.
Yes. So there is an opportunity to potentially help your horse's performance with a subtle shift in how we feed them. And that's really done more with the hay, the forage component. So for every pound of hay in a horse's digestive tract, there's about a pound of water. So if you think about that, that's pretty significant. If they're eating 20 pounds of hay a day, well, there's another 20 pounds of water that's in there. So starting about 3 days out, you can actually cut that back from 2% of their body weight per day. You can get that back to about 1% of their body weight per day in hay. And that'll help reduce a significant amount of weight that's being carried in there that is water weight. While very important, we don't want to restrict it more than that, because we need the forage going through the gut. We need the water to keep everything moving, but we can, bring it down to about 1% of their body weight by race day, starting 3 days out. Then we need to work that right back up to that normal 2% of body weight per day after the race.
You're getting pretty technical here on us, Anthony. I like it, man. All right, so I dig it. So I'm going to ask you some basic questions here, though, right? Okay. So like from a horse conditioning standpoint, when I'm looking at a horse, and let's talk about these, we got a lot of novice fans that are kind of listening and watching too. Do you want to see a horse that looks just fit and lean? Do you want to see one that looks a little more fat, kind of hefty? What do you think is the best looking racehorse, especially when it comes to how they eat?
Same thing that Kenny or probably any trainer is going to tell you. They're all individuals.
Yeah, they're going
to have a different form for each of them. Typically, an overweight racehorse is not necessarily going to be a super fast racehorse.
Got it.
So we don't want them just with rolls of fat. We use a body condition scoring system to estimate that. When we actually go out and do, service calls, that sort of thing. So you don't want an overweight horse, because that's obviously not good for performance. It's not good for the health of the horse, not good for the overall longevity of the horse. But then again, we don't want to see every single rib on the horse either.
Sure.
That's too skinny, too light. There's no way they have the condition to cover a route of ground. So it's an in-between. The body condition score scale goes from 1 to 9. If the listeners want to look it up, it's based on the Henneke system. Well, Henneke brought it over from cattle, and I don't know when he did this, 70s, 80s. I don't know the date on that, but I think it was Don Henneke down in Texas, brought it over from cattle, uses it, made it into a 1-to-9 scoring system for horses. And so that right there in that 5 range for racehorses is going to be just about perfect, with just a touch short of the 5. So in that 4+ to 5, you might see some ribs there at the end of the rib cage, but maybe we've got just enough cover on the front. Anybody that goes to the racetrack, if you look at enough of them, you're going to know when you see a fit, healthy horse.
Right.
Your eye will tell you. You will not question it. You'll see him come in front of you and go, that is a healthy horse.
Yeah. All right. What about weight? Is there a typical weight for like a, let's say like a 2-year-old thoroughbred?
Sure. So this is something we do extensively, actually. We have a team that goes out every single day and they weigh and measure horses. Okay. So we're primarily focused on young growing stock. Just like you take your kids to the doctor. They're doing a head circumference, they're doing a weight, they're doing a height track and all that. We do that for growing thoroughbreds. Once a month, go to farms here in central Kentucky, weight, height, body condition score, record all that in the software. And it's in a software I was going to say, we used to leave a report. That's me being old. Now it's in a software. It's automatically uploaded. The farm has it immediately.
In the cloud.
So that helps on growing horses. And that's comparing, if you have a 310-day-old colt, that compares it to 310-day-old colts in Kentucky. So we got enough data that, man, it is super accurate. But we're talking about performance horses. There's less information on that. They're still not done growing, but when we get in that 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, you're starting to really hone in. There's not a lot of difference, not huge differences between them. So I typically estimate for a 3-year-old in training that it's going to be around 1,050 pounds.
Okay.
Is about where they are. So your 2-year-old's probably going to be a little bit shy of that, unless they had a really nice, had a lot of time off and had a pretty cushy farm breaking experience. Maybe they come in a bit heavy and got to be worked down to that. But I think a good average is to say about 1,050 pounds. Yes, you're going to get horses that are bigger than that. A sire from ages past, Horse Chestnut, used to stand out at Claiborne. He would send yearlings to the sale every year at 1,200 pounds or more. He had some of the earliest 1,200-pound yearlings that we really ever saw here in central Kentucky. That's a little bit on the heavy side, though. You're not typically going to see racehorses get quite that big. Okay. Unless you get some, pretty big monster horses. Just for example, your classic winners, your grade 1 winners, those are typically bigger, more powerful. Everything about their frame, their personality even, is a bigger horse. Okay. Typically. I know there's outliers to all of that, breaking every rule, but typically those are bigger horses. But again, I estimate if you got a 3-year-old in training, I'm going to tell you it's about 1,050, maybe 1,100.
Makes sense. It's interesting, Anthony. Something that Kenny would always say is, when we talked about some of the better horses, whether it be Mystic Dan or, especially Torpedo Anna, she never missed a meal. She always wanted to eat. She never once turned her nose up at food. Is that typical for some of the better horses? So I think that's very typical for horses in general. Listen to every post-race interview, not the evening of, but the next day, if they show up at Mystic Dan's barn or American Pharaoh or Cody's Wish. Yeah. What's the first thing the trainer says? Oh, they cleaned everything up this morning. It's just a health indicator, honestly, for horses. If they clean up, okay, we're all right. Now we can worry about joints, feet, aches, pains, everything else. The very first thing they're concerned about is, did they clean everything up? It's just an indicator in general. An indicator for health. I got 4 boys at home, and they were all teenagers, but funny how the years pass. I know. If I look over and my 16-year-old didn't finish his seconds, I'm like, you okay? Right. What's going on? Yeah, something's up. It's kind of the first thing, because he doesn't talk much anyhow. So if I just ask him, are you okay? He's going to say, yeah. That's all I'm going to get. Right. But if I look at that plate and it hadn't been wiped clean, now I'm like, hey,
What's up?
It's an indicator. No, I'm with you, man. Now,
and same with horses as with people. It might not be an indicator that they have a sour gut or something. It could be up here too. What else do we got going on? What is there something in the barn bothering them? Is there noise? Do they not like the stablemate on the other side? Are they a nervous horse? If they might clean up if the mind was right, but we need to figure out, is it the body or is it the mind? Man, trainer's got a lot to figure out.
That's interesting. I like that a lot. I mean, you're giving me a lot to think about here, Anthony, for sure. Is there anything you can put into the feed? Like, let's say, and you were using a word for hay there that I'd never heard before. Foliage? Forage. Okay, forage. Is there anything you can put into that to maybe make it taste better, or maybe make them want to eat it if they're not wanting to eat it, or is that a no-no?
Look, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you, right?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
We're big fans of the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
Okay. Yep.
I think the number one thing you can do is consistency. If you want to keep them in the feed tub, you got to keep it consistent.
Makes sense.
So that goes with the feed you're purchasing. You have to make sure that it is consistent. Then you have to make sure from the people who's making it that the recipe, the formula never changes. Don't ever let them substitute because an ingredient's cheaper. So we have what's called a fixed formula.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what the price of oats is. We're going to use the same amount of oats every single time we make race 13. So that consistency is huge. And then if you go to changing your schedule in the barn, if Torpeda Anna's usually in the second set and you moved her to the third set, you may have just knocked her off her feed for the day. You may have just made her training go lousy. Consistency. Now, inside the feed, there's things we can do, like the little protein, vitamin, mineral pellet. We use a very small one compared to most of the industry, and our idea behind that is to make it the same size as oats and cracked corn and the beet pulp shreds, so that they don't sift it out. They don't sort it out and not eat the broccoli, the vegetables.
Right, sure, the part that's good for them. Stuff. Yeah.
So we try and do things like that to make it consistent. And then the molasses, we don't have a winter blend and a summer blend, that sort of thing, to make it easier to break up in the wintertime when it gets cold. Because guess what? A lot of our customers are in Southern California. They're not too worried that it's, getting cold in Kentucky or New York.
Sure.
They need a consistent feed. So we don't ever change that. So we use this blackstrap molasses that has a very, very distinct smell to it, has a very distinct flavor to it, and is extremely palatable. And I think that goes a long way to keeping the horses in the feed tub.
Yep, makes sense. Man, this is going quick. So a couple more questions here, Anthony. You've been awesome. All right, man, I want you to be candid. And that's one of the things that I tell our listeners or tell all our guests is Kenny is so candid, and he's an open book. And I'm going to ask you to do the same here.
Okay.
So from your seat, okay, how would you describe the current health of the thoroughbred sales market right now, or just the thoroughbred industry as a whole? How do you see things as we stand today?
Listen, I left the farm just a few minutes ago. We were, talking about the January sale. 2025 was incredible for sales. Again, there are exceptions to all of it. Not every single horse was just absolutely amazing. Right. I get it. Whether that was the individual, whether it was how they were prepped, whether they came apart at the sales. But man, it seemed like if you took a horse to the sales, you had a good year.
Yeah.
That's what it appeared like.
Okay.
From where I sit. I feel like the sales market was exceptionally strong. Listen, there's things we can improve in racing. There are concerns, obviously, with various aspects of racing in different states. It is phenomenal to be here in Kentucky, because the only thing we don't have in Kentucky is enough stalls to put racehorses in.
Yeah.
So that feels awfully great. I'm excited about, Belmont. Its construction is close to wrapping up, and that's going to be a showpiece. I think that's going to be super exciting. What about the announcement of potentially a new racetrack down in Ocala?
Uh-huh.
That's super exciting. I think there's a lot of good things going on in the industry. There's always plenty to be worked on, but I am much more optimistic than I am pessimistic.
Yeah, you're painting the glass half full there, Anthony. I don't know that everybody feels that way kind of about the horse racing
work
industry.
With me for a while then.
Well, it's awesome, man. I mean, listen, you probably more than anybody have boots on the ground, right? You see what's going on a day-to-day basis. If people stop buying feed from you, that is probably the first telling aspect of the industry as a whole. So if you guys are doing well, probably the industry as a whole is doing well.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. There are problems. Heck, it's the horse industry. There's infighting. Everybody involved in the horse industry is very independent.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody wants to agree on anything, and that's okay, as long as it's kind of like a marriage. Okay, even if you get in a fight in a marriage, you have to remember. You're not fighting each other. You're fighting towards the same goal here. You're not really fighting each other. We want to get to the same place. We just had a different idea about how we're going to get there.
Sure.
So we got to remember that in the industry. We want to get to a good place. We want to go to the same place. We have different ideas about how to get there. Let's talk about it. But I see a lot of bright possibilities.
All right. Okay. Last question, Anthony. Thank you for your time. Coolest story you have for being in the racehorse industry. Let our listeners in on something. Maybe something you haven't told before. Give our listeners a treat here.
Well, this might not be the coolest one for all the listeners. I've had a lot of amazing experiences. I cannot describe enough how many opportunities I've had because of my involvement here at Hallway Feeds. I've been to 55 racetracks in 15 different countries or something because of horse feed. Who does that?
Right, that's awesome.
Here's my favorite story. I'd been after Bill Mott for years, and this goes back about 18 years ago. And we'd had great conversations, spent a lot of time with him in his barn at Payson, back and forth. He had questions. I tried to give answers or went and looked him up, but hadn't sold him on the feed yet, if you will.
Okay.
I have twins that are my oldest. They're now 20 years old. They were learning how to walk. I was at Keeneland, just outside the paddock, had a twin on each hand, walking outside the paddock, just barely moving, right? And I felt somebody tap my shoulder, and he said, "Hey, just thought I'd let you know we switched to your race 13," and kept moving. It was Bill Mott.
Oh, how cool.
It's one of my absolute favorite stories. I couldn't even shake his hand. I couldn't even say thank you because he was moving, right? He was going to get a horse from the barn. Sure. He was doing something. I had a toddler twin in each hand trying to walk outside that paddock. I'll never forget that moment. That was a very, very special moment for me. I don't know that Bill will ever know what it meant to me, but that was pretty darn special.
Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome, man. Thank you. Anthony, anything you want to leave our listeners with? I mean, obviously, Hallway isn't certainly in something that, I guess an everyday user gets involved with necessarily, but our everyday horse owner. But anything you want to leave our listeners with?
I'll just go back to I love the industry. I love the sport. We're here to support it. Anything we can do to help the industry. So, if listeners are interested in learning more about horse feed is made, we offer tours.
Awesome.
They can come out and tour Magdalena, Kenny's place.
There you go.
I don't know that we're 5 minutes apart going up Russell Cave here. Okay. So, love supporting the industry, love supporting horse owners and horse people, and I'm here for all of it.
Awesome, Anthony. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And listeners, thank you for listening to this version of Horse Races Now. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a nice like. Give us a good review. And we'll see you again next week.
Horse Races Now, the app to follow horse racing at over 1,200 tracks worldwide. View entries and results. Get notifications on your favorite horses, jockeys, trainers, racetracks, and owners. Users set up and revise notifications like live video at the gate, call to post, entries, results replays, etc. Over 1 million downloads. Get the free app on Apple Store or Google Play now. Horse Races Now, the racing app that's always running.